Everybody, this is Perch. And do you feel like, as a customer of comics, when they relaunch a title, when you go from, say, Avengers number 283, whatever, somebody in the comments right now can go, "Nah, actually, the Avengers volume issue ended," whenever it is, and then it gets relaunched as Avengers number one. Do you believe that the publisher is kind of assuming that you're along for the ride? And let me explain why I'm asking this question. Because I recently, every now and then, I have conversations with writers or with editors or with people within the comic industry, and they'll say things that are kind of like a record scratch, wait, what kind of moment. And it usually, when you're talking to somebody in person or you're talking to somebody one on one, it eliminates all of the kind of stuff that gets convoluted and complicated by social media or by Facebook posts or whatever else. There's a lot of things that get said on Twitter, like, if you don't like my book, go buy it. But when you're talking to somebody one-on-one, they don't tend to say things like that. They also don't say things like that in person. Mark Waid used to say stuff like that in person at times at comic conventions, and he was kind of like booed or jeered when he would do that. There was a time when that was kind of funny, and then it wasn't funny, and then now, it's like nobody really says that in real life because it's just one of those kind of tone deaf comments that just doesn't make any sense as a statement anymore. But the thing for me that was kind of the record scratch moment was that I was saying, hey, I do these videos, and one of the things people frequently complain about are relaunches. And I said, this is kind of almost quote unquote what I said. I said, I know that you're doing that because it provides you a marketing boost, because you can say, hey, look, there's a new number one issue out there, and it allows you a chance to kind of promote that something is new and different and hopefully, attract some people. I said, but it provides a jumping off point too. When somebody's been collecting a comic for 100 plus issues or whatever it happens to be, a while, and then you announce you're going to relaunch it, it sends a message to some customers that, hey, now is a good time to jump off. Now is a good time. You've completed your run. As a collector, you can pat yourself on the back. You've got a full issue 1 to issue 40 or whatever it happens to be. You've got a set. And you can put that set up on the shelf, and you can kind of decide whether you want to go in or not. It's as much a jumping off point as a jumping on point. And the comment I got back, I'm sure I was reading into it, but felt a little condescending. It was, no fan jumps off. We know that fans are used to relaunches, and so they will just automatically carry over. That's not what causes people to jump off a book. And I said, that's not my observation. I've had lots of people, when things are ending, to say, go ahead and pull this off my pull list. And they'll use statements like, see if any of these ring true for you, by the way, the people who are collectors who are listening to this, things like, I've got my full set, or I've completed my run. There's a sense of, I completed it, therefore I can be done. And that's what I hear in a shop most frequently, not in YouTube comments, not on Twitter, but actually in a store when I've got, 200 pull boxes and I've got people wanting to put things into those pull boxes or take them out. That's what gets said. And the creator's like, look, that's not how it works. How it works is that fans who are collecting a comic automatically carry over to the reboot, to the relaunch. And, it's about gaining customers, not about customers leaving. And kind of conversation then went in a different direction and all that. But it was a record scratch moment for me, because to me, that's just very different from what I've observed. So I wanted to bring it up to talk to you about it, see what you think, and throw in a little bit more color commentary into it. So nothing in all of what I've experienced leads me to believe that when you take a title that's been going for a while and then you relaunch it, like, for example, Miss Marvel has relaunched several times. The series is ending, and it's about to be relaunched again. It's going to be relaunched sometime in April or May, I believe, with a new creative team, bold new direction. And I don't think, first of all, my observation, meaning what I've seen with my own two eyes and what I've heard from other comic shop owners and what I've seen just for the industry, and also you can just run the numbers yourself in Comic-Con and other places, it is not a lock. It is not a sure bet that customers are going to go from volume 2 to volume 3. That just basically that when you relaunch the new number 1, you're just getting all net ad. That the only thing that's happening in this book is more people are coming into it that weren't around for the last volume or felt intimidated because they didn't want to buy an issue number 16 or whatever it happens to be. That you're just adding people, giving people an opportunity to open up the door and let people in. Absolutely, it is the case that some people are not paying close attention to their polls, and the comic shop owner will just roll it over, especially if you do a relaunch very quickly after canceling the comic. That is true. And also, if somebody is pulling a title, it is true that maybe they're pulling Deadpool and they like Deadpool, so they'll be on board for a new version. That is also true. But I don't think that's a given. I don't think it's a lock, and I don't think that's even something you can count on. I think that relaunches are an opportunity to kind of wipe the slate clean and start new, and you have to entice people in, or else they will go out. I don't think that I don't think you can count on people just going over. But that got me thinking, maybe I'm completely wrong about this. Maybe this is a case where my understanding of the way the comic industry works is just completely off, and it's a bubble and everything else. And no, it's whenever you relaunch a title, you're just adding more people. I will say that the numbers, if you look at sales numbers from Comic-Con or pretty much any source you want to look at, that is not what the sales numbers say. The sales numbers show that when you relaunch, it's a subtractive process over time. If you have a comic at issue number 16 and you relaunch it at number 1, the one issue will sell more, but the rate of decline quickly gets you to where you were in the previous version plus some. It's very rare, not unheard of, but very, very rare that a relaunch of a comic will actually gain new readers and keep them, that they will actually exceed the previous volume. Generally, it's all subtractive. Again, there are definite examples where that's not the case. Usually, when you've got a lot of time has passed between the relaunches, or if the creative team gets really, really hot. For example, the current version of Venom is doing better. The current version of Thor is doing better as a relaunch. But both of those books were heavily promoted, have a red hot writer creator on them, and that's what's going to happen. But generally speaking, the exception proves the rule, as they say. It's all reductive. It's all subtractive. It tends to go the opposite direction. But what struck me about this comment is, I think with less than 15 minutes of poking at data that is readily available, again, you can go to Comic-Con, you can go to different places, you can pull this data out. It is easy to disprove this. It's very easy to see that's not the case. That typically speaking, relaunches reduce over time. So why is it the people inside the comic industry? Why is it that they believe otherwise? What data are they seeing that we are not? Well, okay, let's be fair. Maybe they're seeing some sales, maybe they're seeing some long-term plans with trades, maybe they're seeing some bigger part of the picture, maybe there's a digital sales number that's not public that they're seeing that is really remarkable. There's lots of things that could go on there that maybe paints this picture a different way. It's certainly possible, but it's unlikely. We've seen most of the data, if not all of it, and if there was some giant gotcha, some amazing other area where sales were coming from, it would not be an industry trade secret. It wouldn't be something that everybody would just kind of keep to themselves and sneakily, hide. It would be largely front and center. People would hype that. They would want to do press releases on it. They would want to talk about that. More likely than not, and this is kind of what I see a lot in the comic industry, there's a lot of beliefs that get made there that really have no basis in fact or reality, that they're kind of industry beliefs. A good example of that right now, and I'm going to do some videos kind of proving that, is this belief that the YA market is a billion-dollar market printing money, and that anything that gets done in YA is just automatically super successful and just prints cash. And if you can do a YA book, you're going to be rich. Period. If DC does a YA book, it's guaranteed to be a smash hit. Guaranteed. That's where all the money is. All the money is in YA. Now, factually, that's not true. And once again, there are numbers that are publicly available that we can prove that. Do some YA books do well? Absolutely. But this feels a little bit like when digital was a thing, and there were a lot of comments being made by people within the industry that, oh, you're not seeing the digital sales. You're complaining about sales of this comic. Well, digital sales is where all the attention is at. And there's even some there still existed, they haven't been deleted, articles on places like the Mary Sue and sites like that, even some stuff on Bleeding Cool, who typically does delete and edit out the mistakes. But where they talk about how digital sales, if there's one on Mary Sue, it's like digital sales could be upward of 400% of print sales. Like 400%, holy crap. Of course, none of that was true or even remotely true. But still, it went around the industry, and I went to many a Comic Con where people were talking about how digital sales were much stronger than print sales, and that turned out to not remotely be true. This feels a little bit like that. Like there's some kind of industry knowledge, groupthink, whatever you want to have it, that says that relaunches always keep their old audience and just add more, and that's why they're so great and perfect. But it's just not the case. So I open it up to you as a customer. What does a relaunch mean to you? Are you an automatic out? Are you somebody that automatically carries over? Or my suspicion, does it depend on the creative team in the book whether you carry over or not? You're not an automatic re-up for a new series. You are going to make that decision based upon what you see in the book and if it's exciting to you. And that's what's causing it. But there's no automatic carryover of customers. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong or if I'm right, what you see and what your experience is. And then what do we do about this kind of, these ideas that circulate around the industry that are clearly wrong, but they stick there anyway? What do we do about that? Or do we do anything about it? We stand back and we eat our popcorn and we have fun with it. Let me know in the comments below. Hey, like, subscribe. Thank you for all the support to the channel. I appreciate everybody who's come in and helped support and do all that stuff. It's nothing but happiness and love on my end. Yeah, even you guys who hate this channel, who bitch about it all the time. Thanks for giving me clicks. Thanks for listening.